Hi everyone, back again. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to be making a project that has to do with the elements of art. And I know we talked about this in school, especially when we did our rubrics. We used the Studio Habits of Mind chart, and we used the other chart that talked about the elements of art. And I want to talk a little bit more about each of these elements, and I want to relate the elements to actual artworks, so that we're not just talking about line and color and shape, etc. We're talking about how they're used in actual artworks. But we're going to start out by taking a look at the chart that we saw in school. So hang on for a minute, and I'm going to show you that. So you may remember this card that we used in class, especially when we were filling out our rubrics, to help us understand which elements of art we used in our art projects. But the 7 elements of art are line, shape, color, value, form, texture, and space. And I'm going to start out just by talking about the top 3, line, shape, and color. Now I know you know a lot about line, shape, and color, but I want to share with you some artworks that use just line. This is a contour drawing by a 7th grade student, and you can see there's no color. And there are shapes created by the lines, like the glue bottle has a shape and part of the hand has a shape, but it's basically a line drawing. Here's another line drawing, another contour line drawing. This is an asparagus, a pepper, and an artichoke cut in half. And this was done by a 6th grade student. And this is part of a baseball glove. This was also done by a 6th grade student, just focusing on all the lines that might be part of the baseball glove. And here's another one with someone holding a cell phone. And this one was done by a high school student. It's a sneaker. So these are examples of drawings that use only line. And then this is one of my favorite books from all time. The illustrator of this book, Garth Williams, all of his drawings in the book are line drawings. He uses lines in lots and lots of different ways to create dark areas and light areas and outline shapes and animals and people and all kinds of things. So artwork can have just line, but it doesn't usually just have line. It usually has line and something else. Before we move on from line, I just want to show you one last thing, or a couple of last things. These are many different kinds of lines, straight lines, squiggly lines. This is what's called an implied line. So, whoops, it's got disconnected here. So it's not a real line, but it kind of follows the path of a line, and it's implied, so it kind of hints at being a line. These are lines made from lots of different things. Some found objects, ribbons, a stick, twig, some masking tape. And I wanted to share with you a few other images of artwork that are just line. This is the contour drawing that we had seen earlier, the shoe. Here's another drawing from Charlotte's Web. This is quite interesting. It's a drawing by a famous artist named Vincent van Gogh. You may have heard of him. He uses lines in lots and lots of different ways to create light areas and dark areas and to create a sense of movement. This is a drawing by Shel Silverstein. Maybe you know this poem, Captain Hook. This is a line drawing. And this is another example of line that is used in ways to create lights and darks or value. This is by an African-American artist named David Pinkney. He does a lot of illustrations for children's books. The next element of art I wanted to talk about was shape. And artists think of shape in two different ways. They think of art about shape in many, many ways, but two ways that are common for artists to be thinking about shape are by thinking about geometric shape, shapes that are more regular or more angular, have more straight lines, or organic shapes. And organic shapes are more irregular, few straight lines, if any, usually very curved and lumpy and bumpy, the kinds of shapes you might see more in nature. This shape in between is a combination shape. It was what I cut this organic shape from this piece of paper, and then I saw, wow, look at that. It's an organic shape inside a geometric shape. So this has both elements happening at the same time. Now I'm going to share with you some artworks that use organic shapes and geometric shapes in different ways. Some of this artwork is my own, and some of it is the work of other artists. So this is a painting. It's an abstract painting that uses a lot of shape and color. Many shapes in this are geometric. There's circles and half circles and squares and rectangles. And many of the shapes are also quite organic. This shape here is a very organic shape. This little red blotch is a very organic shape. So is this shape here, and this piece behind it here is also quite organic in nature. There are a lot of other pieces of artwork here that I'd like to share with you. This is a quilt from a book that I have. You all know that I like to quilt. This is very geometric use of shape, and the artist that created that quilt is right here. She's a quilter. Then this is something that was that I made, a geometric collage that was inspired by a quilt design, and all triangles and squares and rectangles. This was a very organic artwork with many, many sort of natural shapes and blobs and line designs and things worked into it along with color. So not a lot of geometry here. Same with this one. This artwork does not have a lot of geometry in it. It's very organic. This is a painting of some lichen. It's a watercolor painting of lichen on rocks. And again, you can see the rocks have very organic shapes, and the lichen or the moss that's growing on them also have very organic shapes. And this is a collage that uses mostly geometric shapes. Some organic shapes in here as well, but most of the shapes are geometric shapes. Then I wanted to share with you some things that I have found in different books that I thought you might be interested in taking a look at. Leaves are from nature, and leaves have organic shapes. They're not geometric. They're very wobbly. They have their own unique shapes depending on the tree they come from, but they're considered to be very organic shapes. And this is a book that has some ideas for different kinds of art that you can make with leaves. Animals that are all made from different kinds of leaves. So these animals are all made from shapes, and they're all made from organic shapes. You might get some ideas for a project, future project of your own, looking at these. This is a book that is about, I don't even remember what it's about. It's a bedtime story for a young child. And these shapes here, while they are showing a figure, the figure is made of very organic shapes, very soft, rounded, curved, wobbly shapes. Another image from this same book is more geometric. So this woman is wearing a costume, a Native American costume, that has a lot of geometric patterns and designs on it. And the snow falling in the background is also made from geometric shaped squares and tilted squares to look like diamonds. So that's another way of combining geometric and organic shapes. This is a painting of a squash, very organic shapes. Again, this is made by, painted by a man named Hyman Bloom. He was a painter from the Boston area. So you can see there are lots of different ways that artists use shape, both organic and geometric, and ways that they combine the two together, and combine them also with other elements of art like line and color and even more.